Whenever there are conversations regarding the specials in this game, the first thing that's always brought up is, what are the best specials? To which, with the 1.4 updates, it's going to be Splashdown and Stingray. But those conversations almost end up trailing into what is the worst special. And almost every time I see this brought up, it is always the Tenta Missiles that are listed as the worst special. But is that really the case? Are Tenta Missiles actually just the worst special in the game? Well, today I want to talk about the Tenta Missiles and why I feel that they are not the worst special in this game, and how I feel that people actually don't use this special correctly. First off, let's talk about what makes it seem like it's the worst special. In comparison to all the other specials, Tenta Missiles have the longest between activation and effect, meaning when you press the button to activate the special, and then when the effect of the special is actually occurring, it has the longest duration between that period from any other special. And that's because you have to, aim for the enemies and fire the missiles, and the missiles have to come down and rain onto the enemy. That alone makes it seem like it's not worth it, as the duration it takes for the effect to even come into play makes it to where it might not even be worth anything, as a lot of people focus on having coverage as their special, and Tenta Missiles don't exactly provide coverage. Another point brought up is, in general, Tenta Missiles won't end up killing people. A focus of specials is to apply pressure or to kill someone, and Tenta Missiles being a very long to activate, and then the missiles are being marked out on the ground, so it's easy for you to see where you're going to get hit from. A lot of the times they're going to be easily avoided, and it won't end up killing anybody. This devalues it to a lot of people, as they see that unless you're not paying attention, you're going to be able to avoid the missiles entirely. So there's no point in using it because it can't kill people. But very rarely are positive points to the Tenta Missiles brought up, and in fact anytime I talk to someone about the special, they never point out certain aspects of it, like the ability that it shows you where the enemies are. When you pull out the missiles and you get the reticle, you get to see where the enemies are. Of course, not exact pinpoint locations, but you can see where in relation to you that they are. And this is actually some very good information that isn't really ever touched on when you see most people using this special. And a lot of the times when I'm home, I will be having a Splatoon related stream up on a different monitor from what I'm focusing on. And so I see a lot of people playing this game, and I see a lot of competitive teams playing this, and I've seen a lot of people use this special, and it just comes down to, a lot of the times when I see it and people are using it, anytime they activate Tenta Missiles, the only call out they'll make is, I'm missiling X amount of people, and that's it. They just tell people how much are being missiled, and in all honesty, that information doesn't really help or provide anything worthwhile. I don't care how many people are being missiled. Of course, it can provide some help because you'll know how many people are currently going to have the mark underneath their feet when you're running around. However, in the grand scheme of things, the information isn't really that good. But this is where I differ from most people when using this special. So, I've got some clips to show what happens when I use Tenta Missiles. So, let's take a look at some clips of me using the special. Okay, 3 on right, 1 on left.
I got sloshing machine. I have stingray too.
All 3 are on left now.
Okay.
Don't go too far ahead.
Yeah, I might want to back up.
2 on right, 1 on left.
One's coming up the ramp. They have armor.
Their armor's gone.
Oh, I got.
Watch out, y'all.
Okay, I guess I'll hold on to my stingray.
2 on their snipe, 1 on their plat. They armored.
Yeah, Tyler's the only one over there.
Elite.
Alright.
Rapid got me. There's 2 on their snipe.
2 on snipe.
One
One going to their plat.
Yep.
Splatter shot. Did you notice what I do differently from a lot of the people that I described? Yep, I actually call out the information. Because I can see where people are, I provide that information to my team. Even when firing the missiles, you can still see the little markers moving around. And this is vital information. These are callouts. These are things that your teammates should know. It's basically like having Echo in the first game, where you can see where the enemies are moving, and you need to act accordingly to where they're moving. Using Tenta Missiles to provide information like callouts, like locations of the enemies, this is actually something that has value. This is something that people should be focusing on, people should be providing when using the Tenta Missiles. However, out of all the people that I watch that use weapons that use missiles, there's very, very, very few people that actually will call out locations when missiling people. all I hear is I'm missing X amount of people, but rarely do I hear the callouts that I do. And this point circles back to what I said earlier in the video where I said that people are using it incorrectly. I feel like a lot of people are focusing too much on it not being able to kill or its kill potential and how long it takes without realizing the information they're given just by using the special. They get to see the enemy locations. They get to see where on the map they're moving. Even when they're firing, they get to see where they're moving. But that information is never shared. People that are using missiles in a team environment like a tournament or a scrim should be using the missiles to provide callouts. Take advantage of the ability you have. You get to see where things are moving. You get to actually help your teammates when it comes to decision making. A lot of these times I will be using missiles at the start of the match to provide my teammate information on where the enemy's starting push is going. Sure, you could make the argument that you could open the map and get the same information. However, there are some times where that doesn't really do much justice. If you see a lot of people painting in certain areas or trailing off from one another, you don't know how many people are moving in every direction. So now I want to go back and talk about another negative point that people bring out, and that is that this is something that requires you to go too far back to be useful. A lot of the times if someone's missiling, they're going to move far, far away. Some cases, people even jump back to spawn the missile. But that's not even really relevant. That's not useful. To jump back and to claim that you need to be as far away from the enemies as possible to get the full effect of it is not correct. You can use special power to increase the reticle if you are trying to hit as many people as possible, but even then you don't really have to go too far away. A lot of the times if I'm missiling people, if we're playing splat zones, I just move slightly far away from the zone. There's even some cases where you can just use it standing in an open area. You should be behind some cover, but you don't have to jump back to spawn to get the full effect of it. You don't have to always missile all 4 people, though I do suggest not only just missiling one person, as that doesn't really do too much, but you can just sit back slightly, use some special power up to increase the reticle size, and just missile people there. You don't have to go all the way back to your spawn for it to be useful. And with all this being said, Tenta Missiles do need to still be buffed. Sure, they can provide information, like I mentioned, and that information is very vital, and I feel that this is things that are being slept on, like people don't quite understand that they are basically being given a echolocator from the first game. They just refuse to provide that information. Tenta Missiles still do need to be buffed. Firing at 4 people makes you stand still for a long time, and I feel like they should adjust it to where special power-up increases the firing speed of the missiles, so if you do happen to mark 4 people, you aren't just standing out in the open for way too long. You should be able to fire them really fast and then get out of it. Sure, this will mean you have to invest in another ability, but it'll actually save you in the long run. There have been many times where I've been missiling 4 people, my teammates that are around me protecting me die, and then I just get killed while I'm missiling. This could easily be corrected by a simple buff to its firing speed, or just giving it the ability to increase the firing speed through a special power-up. And this would actually make sense with a lot of the other changes they're making, having special power-up actually do a secondary function when it comes to a lot of the specials. And one thing that a lot of people don't seem to realize is that Tenta Missiles can actually act as a good counter to the Stingray, as when someone's using a Stingray, they have to stand still or move slightly to the side when firing it. If they're swimming around, they can't be using their special. Tenta Missiles will have to force people to move, and that is another thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that being missiled makes people move. Regardless of where they're at, if someone is standing still and they're being marked by missiles, they're bound to move away from where the markers are. And this can be utilized for things like tower control. Say that there's a final push and it's like overtime and they're a few points away from lead. If you missile the tower, because all the people are going to be on the tower or around the tower, there's going to be a lot of missiles by it, and so everyone's going to flock and get away from it. If you just take advantage of that and get on the tower, then you just pushed everyone off it using the special. Or in splat zones, if everyone is in the zone and you fire the missiles, they're going to leave the zone, so they're not going to get hurt, and then the missiles also provide coverage inside the zone. They do make people move, and despite what people think, if they do move quite a bit. People that I see that argue this say, oh, they'll just move to the left a little bit. It's like, yeah, they may do that, but then they're going to suffer chip damage, as the missiles are going to hit the ground and still damage them slightly. to the point where I've seen a lot of people just move slightly to the side and still die to the missiles because 3 or 4 hit the ground, and 3 or 4 times getting hit by 30 damage is still enough to kill you. All in all, I feel that Tenta Missiles are pretty slept on. They provide a lot of information and can be utilized to a great extent. However, there's just not too many people that are willing to do this and provide the information that they're given. They don't want to share this for some reason. Even teams that are playing in tournaments or scrims won't do anything with the information provided to them by using Tenta Missiles. They'll simply just state how many people they're missling and move on. They don't say anything about where the people are moving, where they are, how many people they're watching, anything like that. I legitimately feel that the intention behind Tenta Missiles was not to focus on killing people, but instead as a way to provide information. This may not be useful in a solo queue experience, or you're not being able to talk to the people that you're playing with. However, it's best used when you're with people you can communicate with. You can provide this vital information and make judgments based on where the enemy is, and knowing this information can help your teammates with a push back in or to help defend what they're pushing. It's just I don't understand why people don't realize that this is the ability they're being given. They just refuse to share, and that's what makes it seem bad. Is a lot of people don't understand the use of the special, they don't understand the intention of the special, and they don't seem to care to use the information they're given. So in the end, I don't feel Tenta Missiles are the worst special in this game. They're the most slept on special in this game, in fact. And when people finally realize how to use them correctly, or maybe people take my advice from this video and start using them for callouts, then you might start seeing it more, and you might start seeing it being utilized more. But for now, it is wrongfully slept on and misunderstood as all hell. So, thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you when 1.5 buffs Tenta Missiles.